talked about the combine. We teased about the combine. Now we're getting to talk about the real combine, because today, John, they're not just getting their legs pulled on by doctors and looking down their throat and asking about intelligence tests and all these other things that they go through the first few days. We finally get the linebackers and the D-linemen out there running the 40 and doing all these different events, right, today. That'll be exciting. Lucas Oil Stadium there in Indianapolis. But here's what I got for you. I've got kind of a list of who I think is probably, now some of them are maybe not sleepers, although some of them are. Peyton Wilson, for instance, John, linebacker from NC State, 6'4", 230 pounds. The kid can do it all, but how many people can any of us name who play for North Carolina State outside of the fans and alumni of them, right? So right. A kid like that, if he runs a sub 4.5 40, which is what they say they're expecting him to do, he's got strength, he's got size, he's got speed, and the guy is a tackling machine. And I think if he runs a number like that, more and more of these scouts will actually start saying, we may have to realign where we're going to be positioning for when we have needs at linebacker. It might have just gone up, because if you've got a guy who's got that kind of speed, John, suddenly he becomes a giant safety for you, really, because he can play linebacker. He can line up at the strong safety position on third downs. You don't have to take him out, and this kid can run. From a linebacker perspective, he's the guy who stands out the most. But how about the D lineman? Darius Robinson. He's the Mizzou kid who's just an absolute freak. He's 6'5", 295, edge rusher. Edge rushers are usually like Dallas Turner, this kid from Alabama, 6'4", 245, right? He looks a lot like Anderson last year, who was the rookie of the year on the defensive side, who went to Houston out of Alabama. Surprise, surprise, Dallas Turner out of Alabama, almost the exact same size, 6'4", 245, can run some damn good 40 times, I think, John. But you brought up a couple D linemen, so I wanted to focus on those guys as much as anything. Byron Murphy out of Texas, he's only 6'1", 310. But how about the kid next to him, Devondre Sweat, 6'4", 365, 360. John, I'm telling you right now, if you want a guy, and if the NFL is doing what they should be doing, which is, hey, we're going to run the football once in a while, and the teams that do run the football win, and they win playoff games, and they get to the Super Bowl, and they oftentimes win the Super Bowl. This is one of those guys who can maybe slow down that running game. Because when you're standing there at 6'4", 360, 365, there's not a whole bunch of offensive linemen in the interior who are going to be able to move this guy out of the way. And we saw that last year. Texas had a heck of a football team, and it's because those two big defensive linemen kind of made that defense really solid.
I'll throw one out that I don't think is a first-round pick, and you probably are one of the few people who would know of him other than the scouts, Kalen DeLoach. You might say, yeah, but Johnny's 6'1", 215. That's what they list him at. Apparently, he is close to 6'1", Pete, but he's only 200. Even though he's invited, he's a combine guy, he is going to be a D-back or a monster back, depending how you put it. We both have seen huge. I mean, when you were at the Seahawks, Pete, wasn't Kenny Easley there?
Yes, monster.
He's 230, right?
Oh, and 6'3" or 4.
Right. Even though he played linebacker at Florida State and he played that in the Senior Bowl, because of his size, they may have to move him to like a strong safety sort of position, because the kid can cover the pass. He is fast, but at 200, he can't play inside at all, in my opinion, Pete, in the NFL. I don't think you want to put him out there on an island on the outside either. Right. If he has a little more room to move around, can he be the guy that comes knifing in and makes big tackles, especially because he is a hitter on top of everything else? Watch that kid, Pete. And if he puts up some impressive cone drills, as well as, you know, the 40s and so forth, I think this kid could be one to watch in the pros.
Yeah, it reminds me of like an Ed Reed or any of these bigger safeties that are out there that can run and they can hit, and they've got all the different tools. Kenny Easley, most underrated safety ever. And I think the only reason that Easley was underrated, John, was his career was short because he unfortunately had some kidney problems. So that really kind of constrained him a lot. He came out the same year as Ronnie Lott, who lasted forever and was one of the greats of maybe one of the best of all time. But Kenny Easley was bigger and could run. And if he didn't have the kidney issues, we'd be talking more about him than probably almost any safety ever. So I agree with you. Some of these guys are so athletic that they could probably play 3 or 4 positions out there at any given time. I mean, it's unbelievable. So should be a lot of fun. I look forward to today's combine. I can't wait.